Hello, and thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm going to read the San Francisco Public Library's land acknowledgement before giving our introductions for the program. The San Francisco Public Library Commission acknowledges that we occupy the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone people, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We recognize that the Ramaytush Ohlone understand the interconnectedness of all things and have maintained harmony with nature for millennia. We honor the Ramaytush Ohlone people for their enduring commitment to Mother Earth. As the indigenous protectors of this land and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place, as well as for all peoples who reside in their traditional territory. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. We recognize that to respectfully honor Ramaytush people, we must embrace and collaborate meaningfully to record indigenous knowledge in how we care for San Francisco and all its people. Thank you again for coming out to tonight's program, The 4 Fives, History of the American Zombie, a live debut album performance with Christopher Burch and Russell Grayson. The performance will be followed by a short conversation with writer and cultural critic D. Scott Miller, so stick around for that as well. My name is Maysoon Wazwaz. I'm the Manager of Education and Public Programs with the San Francisco Arts Commission, and I'm very glad to be here tonight with all of you. Tonight's program is part of the San Francisco Arts Commission's Artists in Residence program, which builds partnerships with other city departments in order to provide unique opportunities for artists to contribute to civic dialogue. This year's residency placed 4 artists at the San Francisco Public Library, and over the course of 10 weeks, the artists conducted research around its history, services, and inner workings. Each residency culminated in the creation of a new project, and that is a response to the artist's research and experience while in residence at the library. Tonight's performance and forthcoming vinyl album is the culmination of artist Christopher Burch's residency, where he spent much of his time researching historical figures and places that had significant impact on African-American culture in San Francisco. As his research deepened, he became increasingly drawn to the library's audio archives, and in particular their collection of music that he found to be deeply resonant with themes of Black liberation, resilience, and ancestral memory. From there, he invited longtime music collaborator Russell Grayson to make an album. Yeah! History of the American Zombie is an evocative 5-song vinyl album and 20-page poetry booklet that explores the absurdities and contradictions inherent in racial oppression. The album, which will enter into the library's permanent collection, yes, will be available to purchase in March of 2025. But you can download it now on the Artist Bandcamp page. And please be sure to visit, there's a merch table in the back that has information about when the album will be available, how to find it how to download the album, and there's also prints by Christopher in the back as well for sale, so check that out. And just to introduce the 4 Fives briefly, the 4 Fives is made up of artist and educator Christopher Burch and multi-instrumentalist Russell Grayson, drawing profound inspiration from quintessential African-American music genres that emerged and flourished during an era when the auditory experiences were primarily confined to the 33, the 78, and the 45 RPM vinyl formats. The 4 Fives masterfully interweaves elements of jazz, blues, soul, and hip-hop. The innovative fusion serves to reimagine and redefine the boundaries of hip-hop, utilizing poetry and various narrative structures as conduits for a profound homage to the dynamic and ever-expanding realm of the Black radical imagination. Please join me in welcoming the 4 Fives.
Thank y'all for coming tonight. Sincerely appreciate all of you. For real. So tonight we're going to function a little bit outside of our usual realm of the spirit of improvisation. And for the sake of time, we're coming with pre-recorded ideas. Which actually, it sounds like that would be the thing to do, but we normally function in the spirit of improvisation, and that's how we arrive at quite a few of our song ideas, and some of which you'll hear tonight.
We are more concerned with the purity of our own hearts than we are your fears. We are more concerned with the purity of our own hearts than we are your fears. History, the American zombie. History of the American zombie. History of the American zombie. In the dawn of empty streets they rise, limbs stiffened under the weight of Congolese gold, shuffling through ashes of a dream long cold, smelling like the ghost of King Leopold. Their skin pale, bleached by centuries of spite, eyes glazed, searching for something they cannot name. Hunger gnawing endlessly. They feast on the remains of the living, mouths stretched wide, gorging themselves on what's been stolen. Mouths stretched wide, gorging themselves on what's been stolen. The fruits of fields they never tilled, never touched yet claim. They hunger for a power they cannot digest. They hunger for a power they cannot digest. Behind vacant stares, no memory lingers. No trace of all that was taken, just a hollow need that swallows the past whole, a history rewritten, a narrative of conquest and control. History of the American zombie. History of the American zombie. The whiteness of velvet decay, wrapped around hollow bones, reeking of manifest destinies long expired, but still they lurch, eyes dead to the damage, blind to the wreckage, unknowing, uncaring, alive but never living. They haunt the halls of power, silent but present, invisible but everywhere. The American zombie, that specter of whiteness, clinging to a life that is already crumbled, dragging his feet across the land it does not own, but still it seeks to devour, to consume what cannot be saved, to consume what cannot be saved. History of the American zombie. 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 Appreciate it, y'all. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I missed that. Yo, so we are the 4-5s. I'm Chris Burch. This is Rasul Grayson. We created this album. In the spirit of peer collaboration, and y'all sit back and enjoy. And we're gonna get into this next piece called Strange Visions. With all these strange visions. With all these strange visions. The alligator polish their scales. The scorpion sharpen their tails. And each slithering snake had a story to tell. They licked their lips and then they moved down the trail. The wolves howled, the moon turned red, and every strange creature crawled from under your bed. Goosebumps on the back of child's spines, and a subtle type of whisper in the back of your mind. 7 shotguns echoed in the distance, and bodies hung on fences. That strange fruit seemed to fall off of trees, and a weird energy in the breeze. Old women felt it in their knees. My grandfather felt it in his bones, and it never left him alone. Rocking in that rocking chair, subtly aware to everything that might happen, and we no longer prepared. The subtle anxiety and frustration in this nation, the feeling that you always been chased, the abraseness of the wind, and the laughter and the smell of the devil's grin. Drinking gin, trying to figure out my hair 101, putting oil in my shotgun. Amongst these people that sold, they sold for a pound of spite. I hope that gets you through the night. Even if you're not right, I still pray underneath this moonlight. Feeling uneasy by the big easy, it's all grease. And sometimes your soul can't be leased. With all these strange visions. With all these strange visions. With all these strange visions. I was at the pizzeria when every slithering serpent actually showed their true demeanor. Shh. Scared the hell out of me, I gotta be honest. To be honest. I was at the pizzeria when every slithering serpent actually showed their features. Scared the hell out of me, I gotta be honest. To be honest. I wasn't prepared on a Monday, and Sunday was even worse. Looking at zombies stealing change out their mother's purse. Skeletons danced out my closet. A strange liquid seemed to drip out my faucet. This black lagoon inside of this afternoon reminds me of the moment when the needle hits the spoon. That strange tension that you no longer can mention. Feeling like it's fourth and inches, hopping over syringes. It tickles and cringes, it moves miles and inches. It's all around the planet, yet it feels so distant. From where you are right now, the way you could tell a smile from a frown. Even if they plastic face doesn't break, I say grace before my knuckles hit they face and dispose of other porcelain. These rough men, these coarse women, these hairs upon my neck that stand at attention when I feel disrespect. It's everything that happens inside of this monsoon. These strange type of rains and the way this afternoon disappears off my memories. I see it so clearly. I close my eyes to hustle back in time so I can talk to it gently. Around all these offenses, take flight clearance. Around all these offenses, take flight clearance. The alligator polish their scales. The scorpion sharpen their tails. And these slithering snake had a story to tell. They licked their lips and then they moved down the trail. That strange Wednesday where Wednesday no longer exists, and me and we inside of you is no longer distinguishable. Mushrooms in our movements to understand the strange shit. Upon this planet, we ain't complainers, we on a sea cliff. I pass a spliff to my nigga Heathcliff, a cool ass cat that can figure out all these artifacts through all of these buzzes, lows, and highs. Put us inside your vein and treat us like a drug high. Amongst every slithering serpent on this planet, amongst every moment that makes the child panic, amongst these eyes closed in these rocky ass roads with these patches on our ass while we puffing on some grass. The questions you no longer ask, scared of the answer. A shadow dancer plus a necromancer. I'm talking to voices in my head peeking inside of the dead. This strange type of tension in his cabinet is dragnet. Attracted to it like a magnet. The positive and negative is critical. I let it live. It's visual, it's literal. So twist off that lid and pour another beer for people no longer here. With these strange visions. With these strange visions. With these strange visions. With these strange visions. The alligator polish their scales. The scorpion sharpen their tails. And each slithering snake had a story to tell. They licked their lips and then they moved down the trail. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Can we get a little bit more volume on Chris's mic? Oh, snap. This is a loud-ass guitar. Yeah.
Y'all can hear everything cool now? Check, 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 check. I just want to make sure y'all get the full experience. That's important. Can you turn me up a little bit more, Mike? On the mic, Mike. Thank you, Mike. On the mic. So this was entitled Glitch. It was inspired by all the oddballs, all the people that don't fit in, but they somehow find a way to break other people out. So. The smell of the gun oil mixed with his breath. Too late to think about regrets. A press reset. Looked around the room for any lingering effects of the butterfly silhouettes that would flutter over the empty space where his little brother slept. Calmed himself by counting the drops of sweat that fell over the edge of his cigarette. Just a nervous reflex from asking God what's next. Checked his bag for bus change, a change of clothes. An ounce of homegrown in a T-Mobile burner phone. Before the front door closed, he froze. Caught in the memory of his father folding clothes. His mother's in the bathroom cracking codes. Thought to himself, it's easy to track the devil in the snow. The night air felt frantic and composed. He could see the zombies running down the road. He knew if he stayed, they would feast on his truth and claim constant warfare as their excuse. He's a cipher in the circuitry, a glitch in the design, navigating mazes with a mundane and mystical align, outside and inside of time. He's a hitman for hire, seeking an emotional connection for the transactions that transpire. He's a cipher in the circuitry, a glitch in the design, navigating mazes with a mundane and mystical align, outside and inside of time. He's a hitman for hire, seeking an emotional connection for the transactions that transpire. His Sundays were spent with the unknown. Fela Kuti and Willie Colon, the limiting metaphysics of a hypocritical zone. You better off leaving him alone, squeezing water from stone, rejuvenating dry bones. He bribes nothingness with a French kiss, seduce the abyss with the well thought out hit list. In moments of the ocean stillness, water bugs and mason jars, a few slave masters' fingertips, and a fitted cap he got from a black Indian at Mardi Gras that helped him see through the imbalances of it all. He's a siphon, a circuitry, a glitch in the design, navigating mazes with a mundane and mystical align, outside and inside of time. He's a hitman for hire, seeking an emotional connection for the transactions that transpire. He's the siphon, a circuitry, a glitch in the design, navigating mazes with a mundane and mystical align, outside and inside of time. He's a hitman for hire, seeking an emotional connection for the transactions that transpire. He's a siphon, a circuitry, a glitch in the design, navigating mazes with a mundane and mystical align, outside and inside of time. He's a hitman for hire, seeking an emotional connection for the transactions that transpire. Appreciate it, appreciate it, appreciate it. Y'all got the time? We want to make sure. So we're gonna get into a little piece. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. Let's get into the fourth. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we got 5 more. Let's go, Rasul. Yeah.
Hey, that's my brother right there.
This one is a little something we composed. When I was thinking about my ancestors and, my grandfathers, I was raised by my grandmothers and grandfathers, and they used to talk to me about their experiences, and I think it's wild that a lot of the labels we get as black people come full circle, and we live with these labels that our ancestors fought not to be called. So this one is called We Ain't Colored, Motherfucker. Yeah, don't group me with your usury. We ain't colored, motherfucker. We are something darker, something deeper, a nugget of truth. Corner lovers drinking apple juice with bourbon. Listening to Warren Willie Cologne. Only the initiated can sit in this zone. We are the driest of bones, rejuvenated with a purpose. We are the quickest of wits, reading France for 9 while burning both ends of the wick. We are the ones that stretch into the distance, tasked with remembrance in this postmodern apocalypse. We are all that is and all that isn't. Myth is our mistress, time is our temptress. We greet the unknown with a French kiss, some gold teeth and some incense. Inside the dungeons of nothing, we go spelunking. We are all of these things. The connectivity of lucid dreams, the between, black metaphysics, spoken with a clenched fist, checking off our revenge wish list. We are something different, a Negro, a nigga, an anti-empirical hero with a suitcase full of loose clips and a bucket full of ones and zeros. But don't call me colored, motherfucker. We are gardeners, the living prayers of our forefathers. We are strivers, bathing in a father, weavers, building a future amongst these disbelievers. We are the wind, a vessel of memories of dead friends, the beginning and end. We are halo gatherers, seekers of laughter, givers of plasma. The before and the after, travel through an existential fog, pulling whiskey off the third shelf. We are sly and stone. We are one of the starving dogs at the gates. Our brother's the end, our father's the sun, and our mother's the moon. Our auntie talks to spirits in the living room. We are the exploding of dreams, the offspring of means, breath smelling like indigo. We are the savage ones that kept our slows. Breath smelling like indigo. We are the savage ones that kept our souls. But don't call me colored, motherfucker. We are the original, the one before the one, concentrated straight from the source. Sitting beneath the lotus leaf, weaving poetry from grief while playing Yusef Lateef, conjuring spells of disbelief. We are all these things. The connectivity of lucid dreams. Breath smelling like indigo. We are the savage ones that kept our soul. You can't mop a dirt road. We are the savage ones that kept our soul. But don't call me colored, motherfucker. Appreciate it, y'all. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my G. That's it.
All right, so we gonna open it up. We gonna open it up to the Q&A by my personal friend, founder, creator of the Afro Surrealist movement. I just want to give some background. There was a point in my career, in my life, and everything, I came across D. Scott Miller's writings, and it moved me deeply. And he described a reality and feeling that I've been swimming in for years and years and years, and he gave flesh to that feeling. And so it's an honor to have him facilitate this Q&A. It means a lot to me, and I just want to say thank you for that, D. Scott. Thank you. Hey, I just want to say another round of applause for Rasul. Like,
I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know how to actually do a Q&A. Most of the time, I'm the person that's having to get the Q&A.
indeed.
So I know how to do them as a result of watching others do it. So that's how we're gonna do this. My first question, honestly, is, okay, the concept of the American zombie, right? Essentially, what you're actually talking about is this manifestation of white supremacy, right? And the thing is it's like, what we just finished experiencing in this country just now was a white supremacist mandate, right? Like, the thing is, we thought we had killed that motherfucker, and it's back, right? Like, it actually rose from the dead, So, I guess my first question to you would be, as far as the narrative thread, because the zombie keeps showing up in the songs, right? Like this recurring dead creature, right? That actually eats on pretty much ash. That is America. America is ash, and it just consumes and continues to consume. It burns everything down and then consumes the ash. I would like for you both to explain how you embody this American zombie.
So me personally, there was a moment. My mother made this book called America's a Bitch Lover. And she started speaking, this is around the time of Mike Brown and Ferguson, and I'm from St. Louis, so. But there was a moment when I realized she keeps experiencing this moment. It keeps happening. This moment, this thing, this reality, this sense of helplessness, this wave of not knowing what the fuck is going on, and still trying to maintain some sense of day-to-day mundaneness in this, and you're constantly facing the same things. My dad's the same way. My grandmother's the same way. So for me, the history of the American zombie, it stretches back. It stretches back since the conception of this time, of this country. And it's something that I was really thinking about in terms of the undead nature, and now we're even seeing it in today's climate. We're seeing it again and again and again. So, and the trick bag is the fact that we don't give it a name. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't. How are you going to exercise something? How are you going to call something out if you don't have the name? And so for me, the zombie in terms of white supremacist culture is so pervasive, and it happens on the day-to-day decisions that we make. The moments that we and so it builds and builds and builds till the point that you don't even realize that you've been indoctrinated into white supremacist ideology and thought.
How about you, Ross? You got something to contribute to that, brother?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, it started with a conversation with me and Chris, and I was going over to his house to jam, and we're gonna make some music. And then, like usual, we ended up just like talking a bunch because we ended up talking about concepts and ideas. I think we're both pretty cerebral, so we can get pretty deep with it. And we're talking about like if the trajectory of racism, if it continues at the same rate and growth, if it remains unchecked and unchanged, and if you take a look at the past, we like have two eras going opposite directions. Like look as far as we can into the past, come back to the present, and then also continue to, based on the data from past to present, if we take that data and kind of extrapolate it into the future at the same rate of growth, then you get a fucking zombie because, racism is already like responsible for just insanely heinous activities and rationales. Like I don't know. I can't even really wrap my head around it because it's not based in any logic. It's not based in any sense. So yeah, just the idea that if you take this kind of like our shared experience as black folks, black men, and as a black community, and just as people of color, there's so many levels and layers and nuances to it. But yeah, that's where the idea came from. Just imagining if you project into the future, what that means or what that becomes. What was that quote yesterday? That the subjugated, they're not subject. What was that? Man, okay, yeah.
We gotta. I don't
remember
that.
Okay. Yeah. I came up with a really good quote explaining why. It was okay. I think I might be able to tap back into like pieces of it. But basically, we're kind of having a conversation last night in preparation for this day, and we got into one of our conversations, and we were talking about what's the difference between you know, as Black folks, we have a level of accountability and integrity to maintain, and you know that can be said for many folks who you know, whose personal value system is to keep themselves in check in terms of integrity or accountability. I mean, it's what keeps you from, you know, your base impulses when you're walking down the street and you know, someone does something crazy and you want to react with this primal reaction. You want to show the fangs. You want to use the fangs. You know what I mean? But you don't, because you have, you know, maybe a level of integrity, composure. You have these base things. But in the conversation last night, those levels of integrity, accountability, and I don't know, there's probably some other words I'm not thinking of that go along with the same wave of words and values, that we have them embedded in our culture, because if we don't, we'll get killed for, like, you know, behaving in a way that's unchecked, and you know, we can't get away with the same things that other folks can get away with. Is basically
You can't do like they do.
And so the quote was, folks, folks. I'm really trying. I'm like, my man is really trying to remember this quote, bro. It was a good, it was a good ass quote.
But it is a good quote, man. Next time, write it down.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. Well, we wrote it on a wall, so it's on a wall that we don't have access to.
You should have brought the wall, man.
I know we should have brought the wall with us. Anyways, yeah.
Okay.
We move on from that. Came close.
But I also, I mean, like, you know, a couple of things that I find very interesting about the music itself. There is both an underlying sinister and an underlying calm. Right? Like, it feels to me as if the music itself, sonically, is a music of preparation. Right? Sonically, that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like music of preparation. Yes, we are in a place where things are brewing, a place where things are coalescing, a place where things are coming together. Like, it almost as if like it's under a fire, and it's just a very small boil of resistance is starting to emerge from the music itself. I'm not talking about what Chris is actually like using the music for. I'm talking about sonically. That's what it sounds like to me. It reminds me of Sly Stone. It reminds me of Jimi Hendrix. It reminds me of Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf. Like, you know, I'm catching all these sonic resonances in your phrasings. And so that does make me think about the blues, jazz, hip hop, you know, and of course, Chris's words, which also I have to say, I've never heard you spit, bruh. But also, I mean, like it also in your words, there is a thing, like, you know, there's a sound of preparation, oiling a gun, for example, or dialing in the ancestors, you know, before leaving the house. You know, like this whole thing of insulating yourself in your own definition as a black person in America, which is often, and like you was, like, to allude to what you were saying, which is often this thing about keeping yourself under control, keeping yourself self-contained, keeping yourself prepared for whatever kind of insanity this zombie is going to bring to you, you know, when you leave the house that day. Indeed. Right? So, I mean, like, I would like for you to extrapolate on, because clearly it was more than a collaboration, it was a mutual decision that this is the way it's going to feel. It's going to feel as if we are in battle, but we are also prepared, and we are preparing, and we are emerging. So can you like build on that a little bit?
Yeah. What did we say? Yeah, sure. We had some good quotes last night. We did.
Microphone, please.
The wall, bro. We talking about the wall.
Microphone.
So it was like, I mean, so a lot of people, well, everyone's got what they got. You know, they got your talents, you got your frame of reference, you got your preferences, you got your perceptions, but I don't know. I feel how to lose your mind and stay sane.
Oh,
What was it?
if you don't lose your mind, how you gonna find it? We got a whole wall of shit like that. That's what it like. Like we literally get together and it just comes. But like basically, you know. And I forgot it already after I said it. You know, it's one of those things where it's a contradiction in and of itself, right? Afro-American is a contradiction. These labels they give us is a contradiction. These identities they thrust upon us. And we're busy trying to just be fucking human. Right? Like that's the trick back. That's the thing. So in that it's like that saying you have to be twice as fast, twice as smart all the time. There's a set of unspoken rules you have to live by, and a lot of that is dependent on how you navigate white culture, right? And that's the thing, that preparation, that awareness, that knowing of this is where you are, right? And a lot of times, even with Rasul's phrasing, like he shows me where to go with the words. You know what I'm saying? Like he's in front of me carrying the torch. Like but that's why we work. That's why we work well, cause there's a underlying knowing that we don't even have to talk about. You know, we don't even have to. We just tap in, lock in, and for me that there's a trust in following Rasul, in his talent, in his brilliance, in that, and that's why like this is a pure collaboration in that, and there's a sound in that like you said, and I love the fact like Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Jimi Hendrix, Sly and Stone, like these. I hear that same preparation, liberation, and thought to speak to the folks that they're speaking to in a manner where it's not like you hitting them in the head with a hammer. You know, you need different tools to navigate the stream. So that's where it's at. Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, and I mean to build on that, because I think that one of the things that I find very interesting is that we're talking about a shared language, a common language, a language that like people who are kind of like have self-segregated, they don't know that language, right? Like the thing is like we speak our language amongst ourselves, and they've segregated themselves from us, so they don't know that language. Right, so I mean, it's interesting to me, like when you're talking about like concepts of like, they call it African American vernacular English or slang or whatever. You know, you can call it whatever you want, but there's always something that's kind of like underneath it that's artistic and spiritual, right? The language itself reinvents itself in order to communicate to the people that it needs to communicate to, right? The language moves through the music, right, and the code moves through the music. You see what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I liked about that line you were saying. Mom's in mom's in the kitchen cracking codes.
My mother's in the bathroom cracking codes.
Cracking codes,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
because I mean that really is like, you know, what you're always trying to reach as black artists is you want people to understand that there is a code, and you can add to that code, you can transform that code, you can decipher that code. But that's a code that other people refuse to even want to learn. They've segregated themselves, and they made themselves into zombies. And then one of the ways they made themselves into zombies is linguistically, right? Like your language is dead now, right? So I mean, I'm just planting seeds, you know.
I reacted to code because before you said code, I was like, code in my mind. You said it, I was like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
So many thoughts, so many ideas. in terms of communication. Yeah, it's true. I mean, cultural groups have ways of communicating. It's just a human thing. That's what we do. We build communities around, you know, ways of talking, ways of being, because, you know, pretty much every group has been oppressed, you know, and that's that's the irony of like white culture. It's made out of, it's just pure oppression. Like everybody is fucking oppressed, like including the white people themselves, oppressing each other. You know. I mean, that's how the U.S. formed. You know what I mean? You know, Japanese internment camps, Chinese Exclusion Act. Like, I mean, like, Irish folks went through some shit having to, like, you know, be
Italians
recognized
too. Italians,
as
Irish, Jewish.
Exactly, every single group, and so yeah, it's a very unfunny cosm to look at, because it's unreal. It's not real, and it's also unreal what the atrocities brought about by a certain just like frame of reference has like done to the world. It's like insane. And so you listen to like, what were we listening to last night? Duke Ellington.
Max Roach and Charles Mingus.
Money Jungle.
Money Jungle.
Money
album.
Jungle. Ooh.
But if
I
you-
don't even. I can't believe y'all even said that. I got. Buck. Money.
That's
Money Jungle.
That's
Hell yeah.
That's the album.
That's
right
the
there.
album.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
album.
That's an album right there.
If you don't know it, write it down, y'all.
Just go home.
Money
and
Jungle.
Throw it on. But yeah, it's just, the level of prowess, the level of timing, execution, just the level of musicianship that functions within that album is brought upon by more than just musicians wanting to be good musicians. It's brought upon by, it's the code. They're communicating to each other, and they're communicating within the system that says we don't give a shit about who you are. You're barely even human yet. You know, I mean, like, they're still, like, trying to be recognized as humans because, slavery dehumanized the shit out of, like, black folks and black culture. So, what was it, the 3/5 law took 3 black folks to make one at a certain point. So, I mean, I feel like there's still a level of that going on today where we're still trying to fight for humanity. I mean, we're seeing that. Everyone's seeing that. You know what I mean? The atrocities of the world are ripe. But the point was,
I think with Money Jungle and looking at these folks creating this piece that speaks through space and time. We're listening to it in our space at right off the port, Pier 70 in 2024, December 4th. And it touches us. It speaks to us. It reminds us of our own depth in humanity, and I think that's what we were talking about yesterday. It's just the profoundness of that connection and what these folks were doing in that time and with all the circumstances they were dealing with. They still fought to speak to the human spirit. And I think that's where the resistance within music, the cracking of the code, right? It's just not, and really that it also goes back to the preparation. What's your purpose? What's your meaning? Why are you doing this? And so it's like Because ultimately, I think within that language, the purpose is to communicate, to pass on information that's vital to our survival as a collective, as a whole.
I'd like to also highlight, I like the idea that this album is going to be a part of the permanent collection. That right there is more monumental than people are actually prepared to embrace. Back in the 90s, I used to work on the 5th floor of this library. I was in the history department. Below us is the archives of San Francisco Public Library. And what a lot of people don't know is that down there are costumes. Down there are articles of clothing, and 78s, and 45s, and LPs, 33 RPMs. There are books from the 1900s, 1700s, like right down below our feet. They're below our feet. So like when you say this thing about being able to reach across the span of time, right, and across the span of place, like the library support and the support you guys are getting from the Art Commission, that pretty much cements a certain kind of like historic record, right? Like, so it's not really necessarily just this thing that's an experiment between artists, which I'm not trying to denigrate or knock in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm saying is that to be able to establish historic record in public institutions, right? So that is, I think it's an admirable part of the strategy you gentlemen used. But I also want to know if you actually had thought, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to plant this thing in history, and we're going to visually capture it, sonically capture it, like literally capture it in the form of book, right? So I mean, was that a part of the plan, or was that something that just came together for y'all?
I think. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll keep it quick. I think for me, it's important. If it's not documented, it doesn't exist. Right? Point blank, period. If it's not documented in some shape or form, it doesn't exist. And I'm becoming more and more aware of, like, especially with emerging technologies such as AI, ChatGPT, and the influence it has on how we access information, right? How we even trust the source of this information, right? And so now the value is going to be those source materials that have been archived. And the integrity of the institution that has archived that particular piece of information is going to legitimize that information more and more in the future. So for me, I think about that because we deal with erasure constantly, right? So it's not like, oh, I'm just thinking this is going to happen. I know the erasure of information and especially vital information is going to be erased, or they're going to like create inaccessibility to it. So archiving and having it within the public record is a way to prevent that erasure. And so that's why the booklet, the images, the experience, the overall experience is important to me, and then also too as this collaboration as a 4/5 for me and how I approach this collaboration.
Right on. But somebody whistle.
That's it.
We got how many?
That's 1 minute.
Oh, we got 1 minute.
Oh, that's what that was. I was just like, I can't read. I didn't know what that was.
Free chocolate. This way. That's funny. Okay, but last but not least, I want to get back to this thing about BPMs and RPMs, and we only got 1 minute left. When I saw 4/5s, I automatically thought 45s. I mean, I automatically thought records.
Okay, thank you.
Right, automatically did. but there are other 45s. So how'd you guys come up with the name, and then we'll call it quits, man?
I came up with the name because, we were doing this collab in the beginning. We knew each other for a while before we started playing music together, actually. Well, we played music together in a different capacity. Like something like 10 years ago. But he had never heard, me play like guitar and like this kind of like loop station setup I've been developing over the years. And it felt like something real. It felt like something heavy and real, and something that could move reality to me. And I was at home, and I was kind of thinking about names, but I was trying not to like think about it too hard. I didn't want to force it. And I turned around, and I saw my father, who was right here. I saw his record on my wall, and I was like, it's a 45. Oh, we're the 4-5s. And that was it.
Awesome.
And I was like, what do you think, Chris? He's like, yeah.
Great origin story. Great.
I mean, really, we just want to honor the integrity of like, sound and records and the sounds that came before us to shape our sound, because our sound is definitely stoked in the fires of the pain and suffering of the musicians who all came before us. So, yeah, it's honoring
Right
that.
on. All right, hey, it was a great conversation,
that's it.
gentlemen. Great conversation. The 4-5s, ladies and gentlemen. The 4-5s.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Y'all gonna make me blush.